is one thing that will keep you happy at work, and it has nothing to do with unlimited vacation, ping pong tables, or beer in the refrigerator. It doesn't even have to do with amazing benefits, passion for the job, or using your skill set. It's totally separate from all of that. Do you have any guesses what it is? Okay, before I tell you, let me just say hi really fast. My name is Cassandra Thompson. I am a career strategist and speaker, and I talk on all things about work and life and how they go together. And this one today definitely goes together. So, what do you think is that major contributor to whether you enjoy your job? It's having a friend. That's it, y'all. Before you turn me off, let's talk about it. And let's define what this means. So work friend can mean a lot of different things. So we are going to define what we mean by a work friend in this area, why it is so important to happiness at work, and what to do whether you are the person who doesn't have work friends right now, or you're the one who's like, work dance card is filled. That's like the oldest grandma reference I could make. But essentially, if you're a work social butterfly, what can you do to maybe help those who don't feel the same as you? Important things to know. A poll done by BetterUp showed that 52% of employees want connection at work, and unfortunately 7% say they have no work connections, no work friends. And honestly, with a loneliness epidemic on our hands, we need connection more than ever, but remote work is taking that connection farther away. So, what do we do about it? Interestingly, these work friendships don't have to be deep. So going with what defines a work friendship, this does not have to be your biz bestie or like your work wife or work husband, your work spouse. It doesn't have to go that deep. We just need some sort of connection. In hedging against loneliness, depression, and isolation, we honestly just need small touch points throughout the day to keep us feeling connected. So this is why in person is so great, because those moments bumping into someone in a hallway or walking from one side of the building to another and saying hi to a couple of people, that's honestly a giant hedge against loneliness and isolation. And unfortunately in remote work, we don't get as much of that. And there are people I'm not dissing remote work in this, but it's a different level of it because it's not having those organic moments. But even in office, these are things you need to think about. If you're just in your cubicle or just at your desk all the time, those moments of just bumping into people are going to make you feel better. And small talk gets such a bad rap nowadays. Like, I know people who'll be like, if we can't go deep, I don't want to talk at all. And it's like, well, I gotta get to know you first before we go deep. So small talk gets such a bad rap, but we forget there's actually so much benefit to small talk. It's just kind of happening on a subconscious level. Again, we don't need 25 best friends, but we probably do need a bunch of touch points through the day to stave off loneliness. And so those quick little interactions with people at work matter a lot. I, for one, don't need to go deep with all my coworkers, but chatting about a TV show we have in common or an Instagram account that we love to follow does a lot to make you not feel alone at work and in your life in general, because we spend so much of our time at work. Plus, your coworkers are the ones who obviously get what you do, and so sometimes that's super helpful too, to have those people who just get it, right, about what you do, and you can kind of find someone to vent to, but not overly vent, don't go too far, but who has shared common experience with you that others in your life might not have, and that's going to help you feel less alone and connected as well. But you might be wondering, why do these work friendships matter so much? Like, I started this video by saying this is what makes you successful at work. A study from Future Workplace showed that those who are connected at work are more engaged, more productive, and stay longer. Not stay longer in like the regular day-to-day hours. I mean, stay longer over years. They work in those functions for longer time, higher retention. And I actually remember when I first got into full-time work at like 22, 23, I remember reading about a study, I don't know where it was now because the study's now 20 years old, but there was a study done that said like the thing that keeps people showing up to work every day is that they enjoy their coworkers. It has nothing to do with the skills they have to do, with their passion, etc. It's, do they like their coworkers? And I could see that because I was doing a job at the time that I found pretty darn boring, but I had finally built some relationships at work, and I really liked the people I worked with and thought, I don't know if I want to leave these people. And in all honesty, I think this is why shows like The Office do well. And you look at them and they are not all besties, but they've all found ways to tolerate each other and they stay. If you look at the show The Office, they have the highest retention. Like, those people work those boring jobs for a really long time without any turnover. Very little turnover. It's kind of shocking. I understand it's a TV show and not real life, but I do think there's some mirroring there. And isn't it interesting that people will stay because of relationships over advancement or money, which obviously matter a lot too. And maybe in some cases you're staying in a job where you should, it's holding you back because you like your coworkers and you should be trying to go for the next position. But I think that's the exception, not the rule. I think we all could use more connectedness at work because it'll make our lives happier. So what do we do with all this information? What does this mean for us? I'm gonna talk about for those of you who feel lonely at work, and then for those of you who are super connected, you can help solve this problem, especially if you're a manager. Like, think about it. If you, whether you're a manager or an individual contributor, excuse me, my dog's really loud. Sorry. If you're a manager or an individual contributor that feels really connected, you are in a great spot to bring along those who don't. Remember, it's like 50% of people aren't feeling connected in the workplace. So while you feel connected, I'm going to bet money there's someone on your team who doesn't. And so how can you bring them along? Okay, but first, if you are the person who feels lonely, I want you to start reaching out in small ways to get connected. I am not saying you have to tomorrow get on Zoom or get on Slack and ask somebody to like, hey, do you want to Zoom at lunch tomorrow for an hour? Like, I totally get that people want to use their lunchtime to not do those sorts of things. So this is small ways, especially if you're working remote, you're going to have to make effort. None of this is going to happen organically. That's kind of the trade-off to remote. You get to stay home. It fits with certain parts of your life really well, but now there are other parts that are going to take a little more effort, and connection is one of them. So you can start reaching out and just asking somebody how their day was or how their weekend was or what plans do they have this weekend. Just checking in, want to see how it's going. Simple things. Just start trying. And if for some reason they're not interested or they're not polite and they're like, why are you asking me? Because I know we do have this whole thing now where we're like, oh, but what if they think I'm weird for caring? Well, that's where I'm just like, we all gotta get over that. God forbid you be a person who was just caring and interested in another human being. If they think it's weird, that's on them. You're being a caring individual and you wanna learn about another person, and that's okay. And again, if you aren't lonely, remember that there are probably others in your office or your remote workplace that probably are. And so how can you start reaching out? Who can you include that might be on the outskirts? We really want to try and create a sense of belonging, even in remote work, which I keep harping on because that's where a lot of this is coming from. And as we've seen from all the headlines, a lot of people want to stay home, but we need the sense of belonging. So how can you create it? You know, socializing remotely gets a really bad rap, myself included. Like, we've all had to do the, remote happy hour on a Friday at 4, whatever, and you're just kind of like, okay, I don't need this. But while you don't need it, somebody else does. And I do think we're all kind of trained to roll our eyes at the remote socialization, like, oh, we have an office happy hour, we have an office activity, or we're gonna play some remote game. It's kind of like homework. You were fully programmed to hate homework. We've been programmed, I think, to go, okay, we've got one of those things. But remember, while it might feel that way to you, this might be the only person someone talks to this weekend. I know, because I've had that happen to me. We're like, I didn't have plans that weekend, and that last meeting on Friday kind of mattered because I wanted to talk to some people and socialize before I had a pretty quiet weekend ahead. So just know, while you're in one situation, someone else is in another, and so try and be the positive. If you can't be the one to like create the social, try and be the positive light, if you will, during those remote social interactions. Y'all, this isn't an easy topic. Like, this is something that I think is hard to deal with, but I know this loneliness thing is getting bigger and bigger, and I want it to go away. I want us to be connected, and I know you need people to thrive in this world. So let's all try and reach out to each other with some empathy and some compassion, and, you know, stay connected to your coworkers. Get to know a couple of them better. It's going to improve your work situation and it's going to improve theirs. It makes everyone happier in the workplace. Now, if you need help getting connected with people, I do have a whole template of connection messages. You can get that for free in the description box below, and I will see you in the next video over here. Bye.